Every year, a new RPG promises a massive world, hundreds of quests, and dozens, if not hundreds, of hours of gameplay. But when the credits roll, only a handful of those games stay with us. So, what makes an RPG truly great? Is it the story, the choices, the characters? Well, today we're going to try answering that one simple question. What makes a great RPG? That's going to be today on Raw and Nerd. So, what is an RPG? And I wanted to be I really want to cuss, but I'm not going to. I want to be a smart aleck. So we're going to look up the actual definition in Wikipedia, and they define a role-playing game as a game in which players assume and play out the roles of characters in a fictional setting. Players take responsibility for acting out those roles within a narrative, either through literal acting or through a process of structured decision making regarding character development. Actions taken within many of these games succeed or fail according to a formal system of rules and guidelines. So Baldur's Gate 3 is definitely an RPG. And I highly recommend it.
I love that game. That one's so much fun. I don't know why I haven't beat it yet. I've made a few different characters on there now, and I love going through it. And I enjoy it every time. I don't know why I haven't beat it yet. I get to Act 3, and then I stop. I don't know why.
All right, so since this is a deep dive of the topic, I'm going to ask this a few questions. This question is, when someone says RPG, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh, for me personally? Honestly, World of Warcraft. That's the first game that comes to my mind.
It is an MMORPG. What aspects of a game come to your mind when you're thinking of an RPG?
I think of getting into the character role playing, and that aspect of getting into a game is really fun for me. Yeah.
I had the role playing aspect, actually feeling like you are the character.
Yes.
I have to be able to make the character my own. So I have to be able to adjust its stats through character progression. I have to be able to have some sort of choice. That's where some older RPGs, in my opinion, lack, just because it was a narrative-driven story. So they had the quest. You didn't get a lot of choices. So unlike games like today where you have games we were just talking about, Icarus, you can build wherever you want. You can do whatever you want in the game. Mass Effect's another one that I like to refer to because your decisions in that game affect the game. So, but to me, it's also the level of storytelling in these games, because there's so many different stories in an RPG you can follow.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, that's what gets you immersed in it. You know, I think character creation is a big part of that. Being able to, I loved Conan Exile's character creation. That one was so much fun getting into. Honestly, I had so much fun with that, especially when you get to crank up the nudity on there and just go all out. You get to go down to every detail, if you know what I mean, for your character, and get like even more
size
immersed.
can matter. Yeah.
But it really helps for that like immersive element, and that's what I think I like about it, you know.
Yeah. There's a point I put on here that was all about, has the definition changed over time? And I don't know if it has. It's been more refined, but not really changed. Like player choice back in the day wasn't a real big thing, but now player choice actually has impact, especially with games like Starfield and Mass Effect, where you can say what you want, or Baldur's Gate, where you have options to say what you want, and those options affect the story. Uh, which leads me in to my next question. Does player choice really matter? And the follow on with that is, do your choices need to have a real consequence in the game for the RPG to be a great RPG? Uh, that's a good question. In my opinion, my choices have to have an impact in the game. They have to have a good impact in the game. Uh, like I said, a lot of the older games, you didn't really you had minor choices. I want to go help this faction, or I want to go help this faction, stuff like that. But you didn't have a lot of decisions like when you're doing a quest, the different decisions you can make in modern games. You didn't have those options. It was, all right, cool. I want you to go kill these 12 wolves, or you do this dungeon, you come back and talk to the quest giver, and then the quest. And I'm thinking, wow, when I'm explaining this. Um, you go do dungeons, you come back, and they tell you some stuff, and then there's text about what your character says with no options.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's stuff like that that I think about when it comes to when it comes to player's choice mattering whether RPG is great or not. Um, another thing is a lot of these modern games that have different choices have different endings. Uh, I,
Yeah.
there was a game, I don't remember which one it was, but it had dozens, if not hundreds, of different endings, and I can't remember the name of the game. I know Baldur's Gate has several different endings depending upon your choices throughout the game.
Yeah.
Mass Effect has different endings that you can now choose if you so choose. Uh, let's see, what other games have multiple endings that I'm thinking of? There's a few modern ones. I can't say Starfield really has multiple endings.
There's so many games though that do now. It seems to be picking up more and more. I really like that whole concept ever since I think Fable.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fable was a good one with multiple endings. And the secret good or secret bad ending uh that actually is hard to come by because you have to do the game a really certain way and certain choices, certain ways to just get it
Yes.
to work that way. To me, that does make a modern RPG great. Now, you got RPGs like Starfield, which to me is a great RPG, but the problem with that game, there's no real ending. There's the Unity that you can go through. And it gives you feedback on how your actions and the factions you helped and whatnot affected the world, but or the universe. But there's nothing fine. There's no finality to the game, so there's no your choices matter some, but you can get all of the different faction endings in the same quest. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your choices don't have to cause multiple endings. Um, it doesn't have your meaningful decisions and stuff are what in the game make it great. Not leading up to a multiple ending game, but for some of them, just trying to it adds to the replay valuable replay value. Yeah, I've been up since 8 o'clock this morning. We're recording this at my time, 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'm a little tired. Meaningful decisions are what matter, but multiple endings give you replayability. And that's actually important to me too, because I gotta be able to go back and replay a game.
Yeah. Otherwise I feel like, oh, I'm done with it. I've seen everything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready to move on. There's so very few games where I could actually continue playing it over and over again, but that's
Mm-hmm.
extremely rare. That's like one game a decade where I'll find something like that where I can replay it even though I did everything. And that's a rare story that,
Yeah.
hmm but yeah, the replay value is definitely a big one. there to add on to the immersion. And yeah, like it doesn't always have to have, for me, a different ending, but it does help. It does help because like I want to see what's going to happen, or I don't know. That's fun. It's a fun aspect to add in there too. But
Yeah,
feeling,
definitely.
yeah, like feeling like your decisions matter. I like that. Especially like in Baldur's Gate, where one simple mistake could really cost you, or saying the wrong thing can make a difference in this and how the story progresses. I think that's genius. Honestly, I love that aspect of it. And being able to, I don't know, um, challenge the narrative kind of, and you can push your boundaries and, um, depending on if you're feeling mischievous or not, or heroic, you can bend the story to your will. I really like that. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and another thing they got going for them is your decisions in the game and how they affect your companion in that game, your companions in that game, and their reactions to you because you made those decisions. They actually did a really good job with Baldur's Gate 3, in my opinion. Now, does it matter that if you actually have the choice, or that has actual impact, or just the illusion of choice? I think we both agree that the choice actually having an impact on the game is what matters.
Yeah, I suppose to us, I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm like very much weird on that spectrum. Like uh, I don't know, like I'm not the typical, um, I don't know, person, like typical gamer, what that could represent what most gamers would like in their RPGs. Because I'm just weird and I like certain elements for weird reasons. But
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that though, because everybody has different play styles. If I wanted to just
yeah.
talk about what made the game great for me, I would do this myself. I like having discussions because you get different inputs and people get to see what different how things are important to different people.
Yeah, it's like a wide range audience there. There's so many different preferences and yeah. Yeah, I can only speak for mine.
All right, so choices matter, and we've defined the RPGs. We've talked about choices and how much they matter to make it great in our opinions. Uh, but when it comes to building a world you want to live in, what makes a game world feel alive?
I think I think character creation is a big part of it. Like the better that is, um, but even in games like Valheim where you don't really have that many options,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still it's still really fun, but it does help. It does help to have the being able to dive in and make the character really your own and build on
Mm-hmm.
that character. I think what helps in Valheim is being able to have so many different aspects that you can level up, like, fighting unarmed, and I'll go take down a bunch of trees to start my character off strong, and little things like that you can do to work on and build your person. And having lots of different options like that is really exciting. And then even in like Icarus, there's not a lot of character creation options I've noticed on there, but there's so many things that you can do. There's so much you can build. I love the building options.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seemed overwhelming at first, but um, I'm glad that you can kind of work up to it slowly, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
not too much at once. So I appreciated that. Yeah.
That is one thing about the survival RPG genre is that it can feel overwhelming if you jump directly into it without actually taking the time. Uh, that's also a downfall with playing with somebody like Archon, who likes doing as much stuff as he possibly can and unlocking everything as quickly as he can. And you're like, oh man, I'm missing out on stuff.
I know what you mean. I'm one of those, well, I'm one of those that likes to take my time and really go through things, and I don't want to miss anything. I'll be, you know, I want to learn all the recipes as much as I can. I want to unlock all the things.
Mhm.
I want to explore. I definitely love exploring. And yeah, sorry if I'm like been out of breath. Been having a hard time catching my breath. I'm super close to the wildfires that have been out here
Mm,
in Spokane. I'm just a few hours away from there, and it's been really, the smoke has been really kind of
yeah,
down in this valley area, and I'm having like trouble with asthma or something. I just I can't get a full breath. So sorry if I'm
it's all
being a
good.
little slow.
It's all good. As long as you're safe, that's all that matters.
Yeah, we're good out here. It's just the smoke and it looks like fog outside. It's crazy.
Yeah. Canada's had a lot of wildfires too. All right. So some bullet points I have on here. You talked about character creation, but what makes WoW feel alive to you?
Feel alive?
Yeah. What makes World of Warcraft, the world of World of Warcraft feel alive?
In the woe to WoCaf, I think it was one of those where the story really took me. Um, I started reading the books first,
Mhm.
and it was during AIT, like my military job training, and that was lengthy. It was like 6 months in training, and it was really boring. And we had a lot of night shifts where we had to just do, there's fire watch, there's weapons watch,
Mhm.
um, CQ duty, all those, and those would take up hours through the night, and we would get in trouble if we were caught falling asleep. You know how that would be. You
Mhm.
don't want to get caught falling asleep. So there people had all sorts of books at the headquarters desk, or the watch desk, and I was looking through there, and there happened to be one of the World of Warcraft books on there, first part of a trilogy, the War of the Ancients trilogy it was, and I got to get immersed in the story of young Malfurion and Illidan, Tyrande, and Broxigar, who I just fell in love with. Broxigar is like, I want to say my first love. And I just got obsessed, with the story. The story really pulled me in. And then I was like, oh my God, I got to play this game. And I kept, the really cool part about it was being able to go to these places that I read about in the books, in the game, and eventually reading about Thrall's story. You can go to where Lord Adelis Blackmore kept him prisoner, and visit the ruins of that castle. And it's so cool being able, I feel like you're visiting actual historic monuments, when you get to play the game. And I love that. I love that. But it was initially the story that really pulled me into that world, into that whole universe. And that's what made me fall in love with it. I feel like I don't know, there's times where I feel like that universe is more real than this circus, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I have more fun in my world, woe to WoCaf, so I like to stick around there. And I know this city is better than I know the city I live in.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's of all of the RPGs I've ever played, Skyrim, Starfield, uh, Mass Effect, all of them. It's usually the lore of the game, the lore of the universe. If they've invested a lot of time fleshing out the universe, whether it be through articles you can unlock uh, in a journal or Uh, what Starfield has is slates, stuff where you can learn the backstory of things that happened before your character existed, and you can learn more about what's going on in the game, uh, in the world, why these ruins are like this, what are these old robots, why were they there, why did humans leave Earth in Starfield, uh, why are the Reavers doing what they're doing, how old are they, learning more about the different races in Mass Effect, um, but also being able to explore, like you were talking about, explore and see the places that, in your case, the stories that you've read, being able to see all those different places. For me, Star Wars Galaxies, being able to go out and actually visit uh, Jabba's palace, or go to Mos Eisley and go to the cantina.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do that. That sounds like a good
Being able
time.
to visit all those places that have already been built. And then in modern RPGs, the environmental storytelling, the everything that's outside of the story, your main stories, just listening to the characters talking as you walk by. Starfield does that well. There's a couple other RPGs where you're just walking around, you're hearing people talk, and it just makes it feel more alive when you're hearing other character NPCs talking and just like they're living their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. I liked how, well, that whenever you talk about Starfield, it reminds me of Nomansky.
no
No
Man's
Man's
Sky.
Sky. Nomansky. um, I loved that game because of like the exploration aspect of it and being able
Mhm.
to build and you stumble across all these things and you can, the more you explore, the more you discover about certain races and what happened and what's really going on. Are you in like a giant simulation? It makes me question reality, the whole concept of the game. But I love that being able to uncover more of the story the more you get out there and find. So that's a really cool aspect to a game that I wish more had.
Yeah, discovering stories is just I, I do agree with you in there. I wish they did have more ability to discover more stories that are going out there. Instead of just, you go up to this NPC and they just tell you the story of everything, or you go and hit this waypoint and it gives you a codex entry. Um, that's one thing I like about No Man's Sky, Starfield. I can't really say Elite Dangerous too much because that's more of a space sim than anything. But being able to go out, go to these old ruins, and all of a sudden you're in the story, learning about these ruins, about how they were created, why they were created for different reasons. So yeah, I completely agree there. So the next question I have is: would you rather have amazing gameplay with an average story, or an incredible story with average gameplay?
Oh, um, that's hard because I feel like I dabble in a bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of depending on the mood. There's times where I feel like a story keeps calling me back and I want to learn more. I
Mm-hmm.
think oh well recently I played Sons of the Forest and I wanted to find out what happened and wanted to find out more what was going on, how what happened to these people and why did things go wrong? And it was those questions that drove me to keep going back and learn more about the game, learn more about the story. And then when I was done, when I beat the game, I think I beat it. I beat it twice to see what the other ending was, and then I was done. I'm like, okay, good. I'm good now. I can move on with my life. and,
Mm-hmm.
um, but then there's games. I don't know. I keep going back to Valheim because I don't feel like there's much of a story there. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there's not much of a story, and I mean, you get like these runes that you discover, and I feel like the most we learn about is the story of Ulf, um, ULF, the,
Mhm.
the guy that it sounded like he had it rough there in Valheim, and I feel like you know more about him than you know about your own character because you don't remember anything, and you just find runestones, stories and stuff, and but that's more about the gameplay kind of a game,
Mhm.
and there are times where I feel like just doing that, just diving into the gameplay because the gameplay is great too. Um, so it's crazy. I don't know if I have a preference. It really depends on my mood. What mood am I in? You know,
Yeah.
what's gonna hit that tickle spot for me in the moment. And so yeah, I'd say it's both. I don't know. Do you have a preference?
My preference is I can have, as long as, if it has an incredible story, I can deal with average gameplay. I can deal with below average gameplay, really. Um, I go back to games from the Super NES time frame because they have better stories. The combat system might be very simplistic, turn-based style. The progression is a grind because you have to level up. So you have to run around and just encounter random mobs, which I do miss the random monster encounters when you don't see the monsters on the board. Uh, the loot is out. Well, these days it's way outdated, but it's your typical get healing potions and stuff like that. There is no crafting in Breath of Fire. And to me, it's a really replayable game because the stories of two and three are just outstanding. They're the best two games of the series, followed by the first game of the series, which had an okay story, but it's one of those where Capcom started writing an RPG, so they actually learned from the first one versus the first one's the best one, and then the rest were just like trying to force the story.
Hmm.
But and then you got games like Starfield, or let's go Mass Effect, because Mass Effect is another one I really like. Mass Effect, you actually have a decent combat system. You have decent progression. The loot is your typical shooter loot. You get guns and armor and stuff. Uh, Still no real crafting, but the replayability is there because your choices matter in the game. So, but the story of that game, of that series, is good. It's a cohesive story from game one to game two to game three. It's no big issue. I'm excluding Andromeda because I didn't like that game. The concept Andromeda was going for, Mass Effect Andromeda was going for, was there. I could see it. Poorly executed. I don't know if that's on BioWare or if that's on EA for trying to rush it, but it was poorly executed. The bones are there, so if they could remake it, I think they could do a better job. But then you got games like Knights of the Old Republic, which another turn-based game based on D20 rule sets, third edition D20 rule sets, I believe. But that story is phenomenal because it fills up in a backstory in the Star Wars universe. It does a good job of having decent combat mechanics for a turn-based game, which I like. Uh, you can do. This is the first game I played where you can do minor crafting, not heavy crafting. Um, that's a lie because I think I played Knights of the Old Republic after Star Wars Galaxies. In Star Wars Galaxies, you could actually build starships and a lot of different things and a house and all that. So Star Wars Galaxies was ahead of its time, if you ask me, because you had player housing, you could build cities, you could have world build world galactic civil war battles on planets, driven by the community, not forced by the game. Um, your support classes could actually craft stuff or play music and stuff to boost uh, other players. Um, had a fully functioning economy, and it was just a really well done game. I would love to see that remastered with modern graphics and re-released, because I think Star Wars Galaxies was phenomenal, even with the dreaded new gaming experience, which for all intents and purposes killed the game. Uh, I think it's still a phenomenal game, even with the dated graphics. They could go back through and rewrite it, but it had an average story, but it got better with the story as they added the combat upgrade, and then the new game experience did expand on the story. There's more stuff you can do that fills more stories. It was an average story, but at the time, fun gameplay. I think they could remaster that one and make it better story, and then I would fall in love with that one all over again. I mean, I still play Star Wars Galaxies on the Legends server. But Knights of the Old Republic did a great job of telling a compelling story going back. Then you had Skyrim, which is the Elder Scrolls game I really enjoyed. But let's also not forget the Fallout series, which have phenomenal stories and really fun gameplay.
That's true. Oh, yes. I don't want to forget those. Those were so much fun. Yeah.
So you can have the best of both worlds at times. But I do think, for me, story with average gameplay will trump amazing gameplay with an average story. I find myself going away from games that actually have amazing gameplay but an average story. To me, Horizon Zero Dawn has an average story. The gameplay is phenomenal in that game, but I don't find myself going back to it that often.
I agree. I had higher hopes for this story, to be honest. I thought that was going to be the thing that drew me in, but turns out it wasn't. It was, the gameplay that was more fun, I found.
Mm-hmm. It was a very unique gameplay system at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to shoot robots, climb on robots, and robot dinosaurs. Who in their right mind would think an alien race would land on a planet, destroy all modern civilization, and then use dinosaurs as robots?
Yeah, the concept was crazy, and that's what really got me curious about it, in the beginning, for sure.
I mean, it was still a fun game to play.
Yeah.
But average story. WoW. Let's talk about WoW in this regard. It has, as you have pointed out, an amazing story. The gameplay is dated. It's an RPG. It's an MMO. So there's limits on what you can do with an MMO that's 20 something years old.
God. Yeah, I know. I've been playing that since 2007 when I got my own subscription. Jesus.
Yeah. So, but it works for what it is. It does a great job mechanics wise. Their mounts and the way they've done some of their mounts, like there's one mount you can get where you turn into a dragon and your friend that's running with you can ride you.
Yeah, they're adding on so many crazy things to it, but I still feel like a lot of the popularity still remains with the classic servers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, even with the older graphics and everything, I don't. You can't really beat that. You don't need all the bells and whistles. It was already a great game. It doesn't have to have the most updated everything. It doesn't have to be this, perfect picture quality or whatever. Um, the gameplay was still on point. The story was still on point. It was wonderful to play and easy to get immersed in. And, I don't know, that's what did it for me. I still find myself going back to classic, and I'd prefer to play on one of the classic servers versus the live, because it's like
Hmm.
there's so much that's been added on. There's so many new aspects to it. And, it's kind of hard for me to keep up with. I mean, I'm one of those old people that don't like change, and I have a hard time adjusting to new things. And if you do it slowly, at one bit at a time, give me chance to adjust to it, then I will. But the way they kick out expansions like there's no tomorrow is way too much and too fast. And I think they're losing that quality for the sake of quantity.
Yeah, that is true. My take on it, uh, I don't play WoW consistently. I'll jump in and out of it. And the problem is because of how periodically I jump in and out of it, and those periods can be months or in some cases years apart. They've changed so much between one expansion to another expansion to another expansion that it's like, all right, now I got to relearn how to build my character because they revamped all my characters. So now I got to redo all my skills. That's the problem I have with Star Wars The Old Republic is because I've been so in and out of that game that I jumped back in recently and had to rebuild my primary character and forgot the rotation for the character.
Oh, that hurts. That's like really painful. I hate when that happens and I have to redo. Like, that happens in WoW a lot. I got to redo
Mm-hmm.
my whole talents, and at that point, I'm like, well, I might as well just start a new character, because
Oh, yeah.
I have a hard time adjusting at that high level with all the new stuff. And in order for me to learn it, I got to start from the ground up. That's just me.
That's one thing I like about Lord of the Rings Online and the reason why I keep going back to it. A, my weaker laptops can run the game no problem. That's what made WoW so famous was their graphics were so simplistic compared to other games during its lifespan that it can run on systems older than what a lot of modern games today have need to run. And so it was more available to more people. So that made it great there because Blizzard actually cared about getting as many people involved. But where did I start with this conversation? But with the Old Republic, I'll jump in and have to relearn all my skills, everything. But Lord of the Rings, jump in. Okay, they've changed up what the skills look like. They changed up the hunter skills while I was playing the hunter on an update. So I was like, luckily they made it simple enough to understand. All right, it's minor changes. They took some of my skill tree and they removed one piece that nobody was ever selecting out of all the players. So they just completely removed it. Um, but I remember playing back on launch on that game. Uh, by the way, one of my favorite RPGs of all time because it has a phenomenal story and the gameplay fits that the game design. So, but it's obviously Lord of the Rings. It's phenomenal. They fleshed out and made the world more, uh, added more lore to the world from, Tolkien's writings and have done a phenomenal job with that. But,
I
uh,
love that. I really love that. That's what makes me really want to dive in, because I love that universe. And that's one of those games where I'll go in and I have this preconception of the graphics and picture quality and stuff and just assume, oh, I'm going to have a hard time getting into this one. But then I don't have a hard time getting into it. It's really all about the story and everything and being able to be there in that world. That's so cool that I love about that game.
One thing I really like about the game is the main story arc you follow runs parallel to the Fellowship story arc. So you sometimes deal with the Fellowship, but more often than not, you're running parallel quests and story arcs that assist the player, the Fellowship in the background. So you don't see what's in the books, the trilogy, but you do see Moria after they've gone through it. You do see Rohan. You do see all these places before and after. Moria is more after the Fellowship's gone through it, but like Rohan, I think you can go there before if you have a high enough level character, and then story arc moves along. But they've done a really good job on how they did that and made it to where the story feels 100% unique to that game versus just a rehash of a movie tie-in or a book tie-in. But the graphics are outdated by today's standards. However, it's still fun.
Absolutely. Yes, that's definitely one of those games.
Now,
for sure.
For the final question, and this one's one that makes me think a lot. What's the one thing every great RPG has in common? Is it freedom in the environment? Is it the characters, the world building, story, maybe exploration, player agency? And all this will tie into the immersion of the game. But what's the one thing you can think of out of, say, you've watched me play Lord of the Rings, you've played WoW, you've played the Fallout games. Did you ever play any of the Elder Scrolls?
Yes, Skyrim.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you think of those games, what do they tend to have in common? Because those are some of the universally acclaimed great RPGs.
If it can make me feel like I'm there and like I want to be there more than I want to be in this reality, if it calls me back, and it could be any one of those things that you just mentioned. It could be a different reason that calls me back to it. It could be the character immersion, being able to customize the customizable character.
Player agency, yeah.
Yeah, it could be either that, or the exploration aspect of it, or it could be the story that drives me. Any one of those things, but whatever is the stronger pull, if it makes me want to keep going back there to that universe, to be um, in that game and be absorbed in it, that's, the thing that will keep me coming back.
That's a good one. For me, it's what game gives me the best world building, what game has fleshed out the world the most, makes me with the freedom of movement. I don't need a huge game I don't need a huge expanse to make me for an RPG to pull me in and make me think it's one of the greatest of all time. However, the characters, the world building, the lore, the story of the game, that all ties into the immersion that I need to make me want to come back to the game. Like you said, if I get sucked into the game and the game keeps me thinking about the game when I'm not playing the game and makes me wonder if I made the right choice when I'm at work and I'm thinking about the choices I made in a video game, then yeah, you've done a good job making a game that feels more real than the stuff we deal with in real life these days as adults.
Yeah.
It's all about the immersion. If you come across something in a game that breaks the immersion, it breaks the game, in my opinion, because for an RPG to be a great RPG, I have to feel like I'm the character. And I did this when we started, when we had Starfield Raw going on. I did something called Rook's Logs. Because I wasn't actually able to record with the guys at the time, I would actually play the game and then I would come back and sit down and talk like I was my character, making a log about the events of the day or whatnot. And when I was actually making the logs after playing for a bit, I was like, man, I actually do feel like I'm this character. The immersion was in that game is so deep that, I can sit there and be like, all right, cool. Let's record another Rook's Logs. And then sit down and be like, all right, Rook's Log, the date is this. Well, I just came back in from another exploration, went to this planet, did this, flew out, got jumped by some spacers. That was a heck of a battle. So when I started talking like that, I felt like I was really, and this is where our next topic is going to tie into it, because I really felt like I was filling in backstory and adding more lore to the game, because it was my character and I was existing in the universe, and it fits. The immersion is just so great. When I play Elite Dangerous, which is a space sim, I treat it as such, because I don't have a cool cockpit setup like some people do in that game. Lord of the Rings is a great one, and I can get immersed in that. And I think some people who have watched me play it will see that I play my characters with different attitudes. Like Trix, my 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 Hobbit champion will just run and jump off the edge of a cliff to get to the lower edge quickly, as she doesn't think she'll die in the process. So, but my dwarf is more, I'm going to go find the way down safe.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then my hunter just looks at both of them like, we could have just teleported.
That's interesting. Like you
Yeah.
really, you like certain characters bring out certain aspects of you and your
Yeah.
personality.
I play characters. When I build characters, I do the same thing with my D&D. Now, granted, lately my D&D characters have turned more into comedian characters in the middle of role playing. But when I build the characters, I build them with specific backstories in mind, with specific ideas on how I want to play that character. Like right now in my Pathfinder game, I'm playing a gunslinger, spell shot. And she's one of those where she's over 300 years old. She was raised with her parents in her elven village. Uh, she didn't want to keep studying to be a mage like her sister. So she went out and started patrolling with the Rangers. Then she came back and felt like she wanted to see more and see if there was a way to stop corruption around her, the borders of her land. So she went out, and her character development was she is now a gunslinger because she's learned how to tie magic in with guns and has made guns more elegant in her eyes. And she's a calm, semi-seductive character that will draw a gun just as fast as she'll talk someone down using her charisma. And I have another character that is 100%. Now, when I say Valorissa is slightly seductive, it's more of She can lay on the charm in a bar when she needs to, but it's not her go-to thing.
Okay.
I have a character concept for a female assassin that worked at a brothel, and she 100% thinks of the brothel as business and her assassinations as fun.
Well, that's the pleasure aspect that she
Yeah.
is.
And she uses the brothel to get information.
Oh, wow. That's smart, actually.
Pillow talk.
Yeah.
So she works there to get the information and then goes and proceeds to do what she does best. I ran her one time, but it was for a one shot, and she turned out to be a really fun character to run because bards seduce everything, and I'm playing an assassin that seduces everything.
That is a crazy concept. I like that. That's
But
pretty cool.
that's how I play all my characters. Anytime I find myself doing this with other RPGs like Lord of the Rings, like Starfield, like Star Wars Galaxies, the Old Republic. I come up with these concepts of how I want to play these characters. Some of them are more limited, like Star Wars The Old Republic is limited on how I can play and portray a character because while they give you options, they give you set road style thing they want the characters to go down. I played my Jedi Knight more as a character that doesn't care for all of the Jedi code because he ended up getting married. But at the same time, my trooper was more honor bound and hardcore following the rules type guy and broke them when he needed to as a special ops guy, but was mostly following the rules. So even games that limit me, I still try coming up with concepts on how I play them. So as long as I can get immersed into the character and I feel like I can play the character the way I pictured playing them when I created them, that to me will make that to me tells me what all great RPGs have in common. And I can do that with Skyrim, Fallout, Starfield, Lord of the Rings, in some cases, WoW, especially if there's role playing going on in WoW. I can't do it as much as I would prefer in Star Trek Online. And that's just because, they don't have a non-faction aligned faction. They don't have somebody that's not aligned with either the not Romulans. They don't have somebody that's aligned with the Federation or Klingon Defense Force. So it makes it more difficult for me to play characters the way I want to because I have a character concept I want to run that I can't run because I have to deal with the Federation or the Klingons.
I see.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I think great games are. Great RPGs. That's what I think have in common. All right. So we dove into a lot, talked about a bit. And we're all over the place about what we think about RPGs and what RPGs we really like. Now, the closing question for tonight or today for this episode will be, if you could recommend one RPG to someone who's never played the genre, what would it be and why?
I would try to match it with their personality, honestly. There are some people that get bored with certain things, and it's good to know that. Like people that have a hard time getting immersed in games, that would do better with like a story base. I would recommend like The Last of Us Part 1 to start out with. But
That's
it
a good
really,
one.
yeah, that'll suck you in right away. It's a great story. So I guess I would try to match it with their personality, what fits best with them, what's going to grab their attention. If they're the kind of people that like to build, good build game, I would recommend Conan Exiles. That one's a lot of fun. But if they're like into space exploration, I don't know what. I think maybe Starfield would be a good one, for that itch, or No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
For me, I actually have certain games that I'm just in love with. I would always recommend, if you want to play something really old, to play Breath of Fire series. But if I must recommend something a little bit more modern, and you don't want to jump through the hoops of getting the discs or getting the emulation software downloaded for Star Wars Galaxy's Legends server, I will lean towards, if you're into space, Starfield. If you just want a fun RPG to play, one of the Fallouts, probably Fallout 76. Wrong game. Fallout New Vegas. That's what I was thinking of. I would recommend that one because of how diverse you can make you can play the game. You can play it as a stealthy character. You can play it as a up close and personal character. You can play it as a sniper. You can play it as a gunslinger. It's got more ways to play the game to get you into the genre. And then you can find the games that you really like once you're in the genre. That's the way I look at it.
It's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Because not everybody's going to like the same things.
Yeah.
I like Starfield, but I like Star Trek more. Star Trek Online a little bit more because I can fly Federation starships. But I still go back to Starfield a lot. I mean, almost 1,000 hours, if not over 1,000 hours in the game.
Yeah. You're a freaking flyer there.
I had 700 hours in the game within the first year it was out. So, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Some of it was guided because I was doing a podcast, but others were because the exploration of the game was fun. I could go to a planet, explore it, and now that they've added more stuff to the exploration, it makes the game even more fun. So, all right, everybody. So it is getting late. We are going to wrap this up tonight. If you are watching this on YouTube and you like the content, please click that like and subscribe. It helps us out. And give us what you think in the comments about what you think about what makes a great RPG, or what you think a great RPG is. Like, what game is a great RPG? If you're listening to us on podcasts, give us 5 stars if you can. Also, you can hit us up in our Discord if you want to talk to us about anything. Rabbit's in there occasionally. You can hit us up on discord.gg/raw podcasts. All one word. And I am starting to stream Twitch, so you'll see my live streams from my games I'm playing right now. I'm playing Halo Campaign Campaign Evolved. Man, I can't talk tonight.
It's late.
seeing what the changes are and playing on Legendary and watching how bad I play that game. So, yeah, if you're into that. But yeah, we love to hear feedback, see what y'all want to say about it. That'd be great. Other than that, I want to thank Rabbit for joining us again on this wonderful episode.
Thank you for having me.
You are one of my favorite hosts to join us when Argon's not here. Hopefully he comes back soon. Because I miss having our discussions. And I hope everybody has a great night and y'all stay nerdy.
Miss you, Archon. Bye.